The market 4 days in a row now. The market was up yesterday by 0.16%. These are marginal gains, but still it's positive. 30,121 points is where we close. So far in this month of love, February, we're up by 0.87%. So far for the year, though, the market is down by 2.09%. We had 18 gainers, 16 losers. Learn Africa, a stock that's just been beaten up. It was up by 9.5% yesterday. Custodian and allied insurance was down by 8.8%. Very interesting. This is so I always pick out these random things. I had a meeting at Ayo Insurance's office yesterday, and their stock jumped by 6%, which is, I mean, totally unrelated.
So if you want your stock to,
I should come and visit your office. All right. Reading some messages from yesterday that we didn't get to. Was it Olamide? So a couple people sent in messages asking about the buying the ETFs. Unfortunately, that's the exchange traded funds, which are supposed to give exposure to the US dollar. Unfortunately, those I didn't find any that are available in Nigeria. So if you want to get an ETF that is exposed to US dollars, you probably have to get one by opening a brokerage account online with a broker that's overseas. So unfortunately, but still, for those that think the value of the dollar is going to move, if you want to buy and hold, you can possibly do that. But we still had some messages yesterday. O Cube, let's see now. It was like, I've told people elections aren't a great driver of FX. Oil price and stability in the Niger Delta are. No devaluation in view, except we see a shock in oil prices and volumes. I think K Trinity, so yes, he also has sent in a message as well along those same lines. So a number of people, K Trinity, Lawson, O Cube, yesterday were saying that look, they don't actually see the dollar moving as a result of the elections. Also, they were talking about the I&E window and how I was talking about the forward rates and how we had a 1 year forward rate of 400 and something, 413 naira. They were saying, well, the CBN is also playing in that market as well. So generally, they weren't seeing what I was seeing, which is fine.
There's a question as well from yesterday from Ruby. He says, you spoke about investing in dollar-denominated investments.
Right, that's what I just talked about. Yeah, the ETFs. Unfortunately, you can't. But there are a couple companies that have dollar mutual funds. I think Stanbic is one of them, as a matter of fact. But the minimum is $5,000 to buy into that. That's about 1.8 million naira, almost 2 million naira. So it's kind of heavy. But anyway, let's hop into the stories floating around in the business world.
Yeah, Olumide just confirmed.
There you go.
I
yes.
believe Stanbic IBTC should have ETFs.
Thank you, Olumide, thanks. The ETFs, I'm not too sure. I will check with them, but I do know they have a dollar mutual fund or something to that effect. So I'll check. Thank you for that, Olumide. Something very interesting. So this didn't happen in Nigeria. This happened in France, but a lot of people in Nigeria have been talking about this because, as you know, unemployment is at 23%. We've got so many youths that are out of jobs. So here's the headline: General Electric to pay $57 million for missing France's job targets. This is according to the French Finance Ministry. I thought this was a fake news, but Reuters actually had this up and a couple of other publications. So what happened is General Electric, the US company, they bought, I think it was an energy firm called Alstom, back in 2015, and General Electric had committed to maintaining jobs in that sector and also creating 1,000 net new jobs by the end of 2018. So what apparently they only created about 25 new jobs, and so they have to now pay a fee of, it was about 50 million euros. It came out to $57 million into what's called a reindustrialization fund. So it was an agreement between France and the company saying, hey, look, Oga, if you guys don't create this number of jobs, you're going to pay all this money into this account. So people are now saying, well, imagine if we did this in Nigeria, because companies and especially the government, they're always making promises about the amount of jobs that to be created,
But
so
do you not have this kind of agreement with the oil companies and the percentage of, well, maybe not workers, but sitting on their boards and things like that? Now, when they default, like what happened with GE, would they have to pay a fine?
Well, as far for not for job, I don't know if we have the same agreement for job creation, but if as far as other agreements that could be tied to the JV agreements, they possibly could be a fine with that regard. But those are in the form of, I think it's like taxes or fines that go straight to the government. This one, with regards to job creation, though, if we're to have something like this, I think we might see less promises of jobs being created here. But very, very interesting. Tomatoes. The CBN governor, he was in, I believe it was Kaduna or Kano, making an inspection of the Dangote tomato processing facilities there. Kano, yes, it was Kano. There's been talk that they might actually fully ban the importation of tomato paste. Now, the ban in effect, the 41 item ban, yeah, the CBN doesn't provide foreign exchange for you to import paste into the country, so you have to go to the black market to go get it. But that hasn't stopped the importation of tomato paste into the country. It's still coming in. So where's this headline? What did he say? He said the central bank governor, this is coming from Nairametrics, the central bank governor Mr. Emefiele has expressed optimism that another revolution similar to what was recorded in the production of rice is about to occur in tomato production. Sir, which revolution which revolution in rice? Anyway, so what they're essentially saying now is that it's rumor, though. There's no official word from the CBN or anything like that. Also, the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Ogbe, Ado Ogbe, was also there saying that they need to create jobs, see that jobs thing again, and so they want to just, because of the positive output that they're seeing in local production of tomato paste in Kaduna and a number of others, I think Katsina and a few others, they're looking at just outright banning it. The whole approach of just banning these items, it induces smuggling, right? It's we've seen it with sugar. Dangote Sugar has expressed, I think in their last results that they released, they were talking about how their margins have fallen because of smuggling of sugar into the country. Our borders are very, very porous. So I don't know if this really solves anything. You have to, at some point, a lot of people have said this, look, dear Nigeria, just admit that you can't meet domestic demand for some of these items, be it rice or tomatoes, and just move. I think we're the leader in yam or so, or something, maybe cassava, or so, a couple other things, or even oil. No, okay, oil palm is not. Yeah,
we used to be.
Oh yeah, we used to be top for oil palm, yeah, but we've been taken over by Malaysia and other countries. So there's something called competitive advantage. Just focus on what it is that you can produce well and produce that. Don't try and be banning things left and right, because you're just going to induce smuggling and it's not going to work. But and other people are always asking, why is the Central Bank of Nigeria, that is supposed to be focused on interest rates, why are you concerning yourself with rice and tomatoes? And it's really something. But anyway, those are the comments that are coming from the CBN governor as he was making inspections of domestic tomato production.
Benga asks a question here. I won't read the first part of your comment, Benga, sorry. But he says, can you just ban without proper analysis of the situation?
Exactly. Benga, we've hardly ever disagreed, but sometimes we do. But yes, Benga, thank you. You have to study these things. Look at your capacities to produce. A lot of these tomato producers, they are facing a lot of issues. Transportation of the tomatoes are perishable. They pack them up in baskets and fill them up. They get crushed. They have to be stored. Preservation. Look, lights. Give us lights to store these things. Fix the roads, the infrastructure that transports them. You maybe use rail as well. You get to do those things, and then you can possibly see improvements in these other areas. All right, moving on from job production and tomatoes to interest on loans. So FCMB is rolling out a zero interest loan program to SMEs that are being run by women. Essentially, they are focusing on that particular segment, saying that female-led SMEs are an area that they want to support, which is commendable. I'll give them that. But the figures here, Ayo, they're very low. So what they're saying here is that the zero interest rate scheme is periodical. The bank explained that its initiative has a time frame of 3 months, during which 80 women every quarter will have access to mentorship and training. And then I thought it was 80. I was like, just 80. It's even half. Out of that 80, only 40 of them will benefit from the loan. They're saying that they're going to try and increase that over time. But it's a really small number. I mean, 40 is what? That's the number of people that work in a startup, right? But still, on this show, people that have been listening for a while, that has been my #1 issue above everything else. That everybody, not just women-led SMEs, we badly need cheaper loans in this country. If you want to start a business, if you want to,
it's one of
you need access to cheaper credit. In the West, in the US, the UK, there are people who live their lives on credit. Their cars are borrowed. Yes, you know, you must have cheap access to credit in order to be able to do what you need to do. So, you know, I commend FCMB, but again, to them, it's a cost. You can't give it. A zero interest loan means they're not paying anything on that loan. It's practically almost free money minus any fees they have to pay. So I can understand the bank wanting to take their time. There's also the issue of whether or not those loans will be paid back. You know, NPL ratios are things you have to look at, non-performing loans. So, you know, good on them, but it's a really small number. You know, we need the government to help out.
All right, let's take some comments on WhatsApp. Remember, you can send your messages to 0809 444 0981. Now, Ayo, now, please, Fred, what did I do? Or is it Fred or Papi K? Sorry, what did I do? That ain't working in Nigeria. Someone somewhere in Nigeria will snitch and insert a wrong clause that will make sure it isn't enforceable. And then he says, just give Emefiele Minister of Agriculture.
I know, Abi, Papi K, we should probably do that.
All right, Ugo from Surulere agreeing with you. Rotus cost of funds is so high in the country.
Yes.
Daniel saying what we need first is access to credit before we start talking about cheaper loans.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, in fact, people can't even get the loans in the first place. Before you start even talking about the cost. Yeah.
All right, Tony from Ogudu has 2 comments. I'll read the second one. I'm an SME and I made an entry to Tony Elumelu Foundation for locally producing sweet corn in Nigeria, which is 100% imported. Did I get it? No, it's challenging for SMEs, not disputing efforts of some other government.
BOI, the Bank of Industry. Thank you for that, Tony. It's hard out here. It's tough. It's tough. What else are we talking about now? Tayo, how much time do we have?
We have 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute, real quick. This one is a very important story. I push this into next week. Nigeria loses 576 million naira per year as USA bans catfish exports. Let me quickly jump to the gist of this story. Nigeria was supposed to fill out a document called the SRT, the self-reporting tool, which is supposed to assure the United States that the catfish that we are exporting to them is safe for consumption. So it's a health regulation. They have another agency here, the US, where is it? FSIS, the Food Safety and Inspection Service. So because we didn't fill out this particular form, a self-reporting tool, America doesn't think that the catfish that we are exporting to them is safe, and as a result of that, they've okay. So this is a legitimate ban. They've banned it because they don't want people getting sick. So that's something that we have to look at there as well. Hey, I trust Shari. She works for Stanbic, so she's always any chance she gets.
Thank you so much. Now, Shari sending this comment on Twitter. Don't forget Business Express 981. You can also follow conversations there after the show. You can invest for as little as $1,000 in the Stanbic IBTC dollar mutual fund.
Okay, so it's 1,000.
Subsequent investments minimum of $500 million.
$500.
USD, yeah.
Okay,
then
cool.
also we have one more here. He says dollar fund SIDF minimum is 1,000. The same thing, just giving information.
Thank you. So it's not 5. Well, there's another company it's 5,000, but for Stanbic it's $1,000. So thank you for that, Stanbic soldiers out there, letting us know. Okay, that's it.
All right, that's it, Rotus. Thank
you
very much.
Everybody, thank you for your messages. I appreciate them a lot on the show.
All right, thank you guys.
Right, thank
you, Lagos. Now we're going to music break. When we come back at 7:30, it's time for Freshly Pressed 981, where we analyze news stories we brought to you earlier on. See you soon.